This question came in from a firefighteraprep.com resource, I believe. The question reads, James ran 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. He has to run another 5 kilometers and wants to average a 7-minute kilometer over the entire run. What will James have to run the remaining 5 kilometers in on the average to accomplish this task? Okay, so let me read that again. James ran 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. He has to run another 5 kilometers and wants to average a 7-minute kilometer over the entire run. What will James have to run the remaining 5 kilometers in on average to accomplish this task? So a couple of things in that word problem that are important, and I underlined. Remember, the first step in a word problem is to identify what you know. So we know that he ran 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. So he's basically spent that time already, and we have to make that a part of our calculation. And you're going to want to subtract that. You could also see a question that's similar to this format when working with speed questions and vehicles moving from an on-ramp onto a highway, for example. So they'll give you an average speed on the on-ramp and then an average speed on the highway. You just want to make sure that you are subtracting, in that case, the on-ramp speed before you start to focus on the highway speed. So coming back to this running question, the second piece of information you want to focus on is the time or the distance he has left, which is 5 kilometers. So that's the information that we want to utilize. And then the next piece is that he wants to average a 7-minute kilometer over the entire run. Now, it's complicated because when I first read this the very first time, I thought he wanted to run 7 minutes or like 7 1-minute kilometers, which I was like, that's crazy. But what it means is he wants to run in 7 minutes per kilometer that's left or over the entire race. So just make sure you're clear on that piece of information. And then the next and the last piece of the word problem that you want to pull out is the word average. Don't forget, when you see average, you know you're dividing, so keep that in mind. Now, in terms of a strategy, in this case, I drew the race, or I drew the run line, if you will. It's in the middle of the board. And I do this because it helps me figure out the information that I know and the information that I need to calculate. So we know, based on the 2 kilometers that James ran and the 5 kilometers that he has left, the entire run is 7 kilometers. And so to calculate that, I just added the 2 kilometers plus the 5 kilometers together to give you the entire run distance of 7 kilometers. We also know that he ran 2 kilometers in 12 minutes. So I carved that out first. That's on the left-hand side of the run line. And then we know that there's 5 kilometers left. That's on the right-hand side of the run line. Okay, so moving down to the bottom of the board, I'm going to work left to right. This is how you would calculate this question. So we know he wants to run 7 minutes for every kilometer of the race, and we know that he has a total of 7 kilometers in that run. So we're going to calculate the 7 minutes times the 7 kilometers to give James a total of 49 minutes to run that line. Okay, so essentially for him to run 7 kilometers, he's going to have to run 49 minutes to make his goal of a 7-minute kilometer over the entire run. Now, with that information, we then subtract the 12 minutes that he already ran because he's burnt that time, and we have to calculate that out or subtract it before we can determine what he can do with the rest of the time or how fast he has to run. Okay, so 49 minus 12 is 37 minutes remaining. So again, that was 49 minutes of the total time. Subtract 12 minutes that he ran in the first 2 kilometers to give James a total of 37 minutes remaining in his run. Now the very last piece is the part of the calculation that actually answers the question: what will James have to run the remaining 5 kilometers in on average to accomplish this? So you're going to take your remaining time, which is 37 minutes, and then divide that by the 5 kilometers that are left. And that gives you a total of 7.4. Missy, I see you're watching. So remember that decimal rule we just talked about yesterday. It plays a part here too. So I wasn't given the answers. If the answers are in whole numbers, then you're going to round 7.4 down just to the 7 minutes. If there is a minute and second option, then you want to consider what 0.4 is in seconds. And if it's decimal work, then you should get an exact answer, but I just left it at the 7 minutes. So maybe the answer says approximately 7 minutes or just over 7 minutes, because that would be truthful. But again, it just comes down to what's on the test. So keep in mind, you don't have to round that whole number up, because 4 is not greater than 5. All right, guys. I am out of here, and I hope you're having a good night. And Quentin, I hope this helps you with your studying. Okay, bye guys.